Good morning to all of you. Welcome back. Welcome to the Namaste experience. All right, so I don't know how this is going to go. I have a bunch of things swirling through my mind today, and I'm going to see if I can bring them all together into one cohesive teaching, sharing, and we'll see how it goes. If you have any questions, let me know. The first thing is, I was just thinking a moment ago that when the sun is shining and it's a beautiful day, it's warm, the sun is warm against our skin. Don't we want to be outside? Don't we want to have as little clothing on as appropriate so we can actually feel the warmth and the rays of the sun? We can feel it directly. And yet, when it's cloudy and a little cold, we're going to maybe put a jacket on, we're going to put some clothes on, and so we can have a little bit of protection from the wind or from the chill. Likewise, if it's really cold, we really bundle up. We wear as many layers as we need to stay warm. And I think this is an analogy to what happens when we enter more fully into the radiance of the one, the radiance of divine bliss. It's like the sun on that sunny morning. We want to be fully exposed to it. We want to give ourselves wholly to it. And yet, when it's hiding, we hide. When the sun is clouded, we have a tendency to put on some layers to keep from the chill. And if it's really cold, even more so. And there comes a time for each one of us. It has to. Could be right now. It could be 5 lifetimes in the future. But there comes a time for each one of us where that the radiance of this divine light is so strong that all we can do is give ourselves to it fully. And it is in that giving of ourselves to that light fully that we are fully revealed. And all we can do then is celebrate. Now, when I, many, many years ago, first went to the Wisconsin Dells in Wisconsin, because this is where this community was that I heard about and I had heard tapes of the master teacher. And I wasn't fully prepared. And I think Vicky had a lot to do with this. I've heard stories of how it was a little less exciting before Vicky went there. Can you imagine that? Vicky tends to bring a lot of energy and celebration. But when Vicky and her husband Teddy got there maybe a month or so before I did. And by the time I got there, the light was so bright. And when we would be in that room together, it was as if we were dancing under the sun. And it was a very loud, demonstrative energy. People lifting, it was like a charismatic meeting, people lifting their arms up and just the music was playing and no one could quite explain it. And at first I looked around thinking, this is rather odd. I'm sure most people thought the same thing. This is unusual. And yet they would somehow, it would just pull you in. The energy, the light, the radiance would pull you in. And all you could do is dance. All you could do is celebrate. I remember that very well. And yet at the same time, if I'm in a situation where that light has been somehow blocked by a cloud or my own mind, I'm going to protect myself. I'm going to stay still rather than dancing in the sun. All I know is that this is a time to dance. This time that we are in is a time to celebrate because the light is so bright. I know here at Namaste Village and everywhere we are, where we are, because Namaste Village extends far beyond the boundaries of this property or Ajijic, Mexico. It extends to where any of you are watching this Zoom session or watching on YouTube, or anyone who's feeling the radiance of this sun. And all I can say is don't hold back. Let yourself be fully revealed. Take off your clothes, metaphorically. Strip naked spiritually. Strip naked physically as well if you want. I mean, this is a very allowing family. But in other words, be fully revealed. Give yourself wholly to this light. Celebrate, dance, make whatever noise you want. I can remember, so my daughter just left here a few minutes ago. She's on her way to the airport with my granddaughter. And so Angela was about five or six when I first went out to Endeavor Academy. And I can remember she and another little girl, I don't remember her name, but they were about the same age. There was a glass door between the hallway and the session area. And of course, in the session area, the music's playing, everyone's just feeling the radiance of this joy and light. And Angela and her friend are on the other side of this glass door, just jumping up and down, imitating us, making all these funny noises. And even they felt it. Even if you are doing it pretend. When you pretend something that's real, guess what happens? The reality that you are pretending takes over. So this is why we always say, pretend to be awake, pretend to be enlightened, give it away, see it everywhere, because that's what an enlightened being does. So that's the first part. Now, I want to share something with you, just a little bit of a movie. It is actually the trailer of a movie that I found yesterday, and I was really moved by it. And you're going to recognize a few faces in this. And this was a movie that was produced by Endeavor Academy back in the day, called A Course in Miracles Unleashed. So let me go ahead and put this up on screen, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up for you. One moment. That's not it. That's not it. That's Wim Hof. I was watching a video about him last night. Here we are. Okay. Watch just a little bit of this.
All of my ideas of separation and pain and suffering were completely wrong.
The intensity of the light experience showed me that anything that was happening here was completely unreal.
And that really changed my life because I knew there was no death after that.
I'm not a body, that I'm not this dream figure that I've made up.
Join awakened minds as they share for the first time on film their very personal stories and demonstrate the miraculous, spontaneous transformation and illumination of their individual minds and bodies.
There's no way I could deny what had happened to me, and the fact that that experience had shown me that there was something completely different going on besides this.
This world was over a long time ago.
And the yearning actually becomes a joyful, happy experience that is not of this world.
Overwhelming sense of peace, of being totally taken care of. This love, like, I have no words to describe it.
A Course in Miracles Unleashed, a revolutionary documentary that will open a whole new, previously rejected or barely imagined possibility of a direct contact with the eternally creating energy of universal mind.
Okay, that's enough. Did you see a few people you know there?
Yeah.
We saw Amrit, We saw Artie, who was actually the one who was 100 years old just a few weeks ago and left for the next world just a short while ago. Who else did you see? Mm-mm. No, it wasn't Bill.
Was
Any-
it Elaine?
Hmm?
Elaine?
Yeah, I think Elaine. Anyway, that just gives you a taste. There's something that, like, if you have a taste of the greatest wine, $2 Chuck will never do it for you again. You know what $2 Chuck is? Mr. Joe's. Buy a great big huge box of $2 Chuck. Yeah, it might be $4 Chuck by now. But yeah, I can remember getting $2 Chuck and think, oh, at least I got enough wine to last me a while, and it was perfectly satisfactory. Was perfectly satisfactory until I started, having enough resource to buy better wine and get some really good. But then it was like I could never go back to $2 Chuck. And once you are exposed in this light, there is no going back. There's no going back to the shadows. There's no more putting on the clothes. And yet, for some of us, it takes a shaking. We would like to believe that this awakening comes to us through the happy dream, as it's called in the Course. That everything is light and rainbows and unicorns. Sometimes it's very different. In fact, I want to share something with you that my teacher, oh, by the way, I wanted to call this, the title of this talk is There Are Cults and Then There Are Cults. I'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, so this is something that Chuck Anderson, or the master teacher, wrote about his awakening. Now, you may not be able to relate to this. You see, he was a soldier in World War II. He was one of the first American Marines to come into Nagasaki after the atomic explosion, right after. Now, listen to what he said. On one particular day, I found myself standing directly in the center of this unspeakable, indeed unthinkable devastation that had been caused by someone or something. And at that one time, I was filled with complete rage, a wrenching, seething, frustrating, insatiable need for revenge. But against what? Or whom? It had no point of location, no focus or causation. In effect, no one to blame, no one to hold responsible. It became a passion of intense revulsion for myself, for this world, and for any and all members of the human species. A contained certainty from deep within me that all of us, anyone here on the earth, all of us are totally guilty together. And then, at that one moment in time, the light of an inner peace enveloped me. It became a space in time where a new resolution appeared, and with it, the message, look at this as a new beginning. So, for the master teacher, it was seeing the devastation of the split mind, to attack, to kill, to destroy, to separate. All of those things come from that single decision to separate from the inseparable, and plays itself out ultimately in the most horrific situations. And yet for him, it was in observing that playing out, that horrifying situation, that something happened. Something clicked into place and he was forever changed. It took quite a number of decades for it to become fully recognized, but that was the moment. walking through the devastation of Nagasaki. So the question is, do we need our own Nagasaki? No. Maybe. It's possible, but more than likely, because we have been given the grace of his experience or the experience of many other holy teachers of God, we can follow. It's just like someone who is walking through a forest or through a jungle. They begin to make the trail through a dense jungle. One person, then two people, then three. And before long, the trail is easily followed. Guess what? The trail for you is easily followed. You don't have to go through such a horrifying situation to realize finally only love is real. None of this is so. All of the things that I think I'm seeing, believing, judging, none of this is so. And then ultimately I come into an experience of such radiance that other people begin to be attracted, to come, to join. And that's why I showed that little clip from that trailer, because it showed you that within a short period of time, and time and space, a few decades is a short period of time, people began to form around the certainty of that experience that he came into, that it doesn't matter what it looks like, only love is real. It takes me back to something that we read a few days ago from Anandamaya Mom, when she said, the best thing is when someone criticizes you, you should think it is Brahman in the form of that criticism. And worship Brahman in that form. Worship the divine in the form of that criticism. Once we think in that way, we do not have the concept of right and wrong. We are above those concepts. We've lifted above them. Those concepts are the result of duality. And this right or this wrong concept is within the world of duality. It is transitory. What is eternal is only the divine. The divine is above all concepts. So even an experience like stepping onto the battlefield is enough. If we are able to dissolve into the degree that he dissolved, to even feel the not only the devastation, but the anger and the terrible grief of what had happened there, and literally to blame all of humanity, and then through that to come into the experience that there is no blame. The world I think I see is not the real world. And suddenly, just like that. That was what so many of us experienced at Endeavor Academy. And it's the experience that we're having right here and right now as well. Question is, will we fully will we start taking off all of those I'll stop, don't worry. What the hell? What the heck? Are we going to start taking it all off and not holding back? Give ourselves to this fully, completely. Or are we going to hold back and say, what if they see this or that, or this tattoo or that tattoo, or this little blemish or whatever? Whatever it is we're hiding. You see, it's that hiding that does us in every time. When the master teacher was in Nagasaki, there was no more hiding. And once again, it took a few decades for it to fully take hold, but when it did, the world in his mind was over. So the question that we ask today, as I put my shirt back on, is it over for you? Are you still looking for something? Is there something that you still need to accomplish? Something you still need to do? If there is, go do it. Get it over with. And then come back with wholly empty hands. All right, Vicki, I gave you a lot to work with there. Take it away.
Sure did, Brother James. So this is so what Dear One called that was your conflict point. And because that worked so effectively with him, he was the first to be helpful in that way. He was his own Ganesh. He is going to get you to that conflict point. And that's why he got a reputation for being rough, because he would push, push. Your conflict point was whatever perhaps you still wanted or upset you, you were in rage or righteous rage or whatever it was about. And it would get you to a point of total devastation where you just give up. It's like a major surrender where you're obliterated. So Dear One, and in that time frame, that was the method given him. It's a great example of how we can never judge anyone. Never judge your spiritual teachers or leaders or friends or anyone, because the props that are given each are unique to the situation. His was unique to that situation. And I think in Eastern traditions, that might be more common than it was here. And indeed, many had these spontaneous awakenings because they got so miserable and so desperate and so frightened, like he did, that they shifted. They were holding on to nothing anymore. And they just dropped it and they shifted. Some of it was Kundalini experiences, but they were definitely experiences of awakening and shifting out of this time-space frame into that spaciousness, that expansiveness of what reality is, where everything is all one, where there's just that spaciousness of grace that we're part of. When you're speaking to this morning, James, it reminds me of just what we have seen and witnessed and participated in our own lives. The evolution of consciousness just in the past 50 years has been probably shortened and quickened than in the last 5,000 years, or 500 anyway. We've witnessed going from devastation to the light, to grounding enough experiences of those of us that have opened up to that experience and know this is not so. That's what Dear One, that's what the Course in Miracles is based on. The world you see is of your own making and does not exist. And that was the premise he would start with. This is not real. You're not in a real world. Now the language has turned into non-duality and this and that. And the language of oneness is very common. It wasn't common 50 years ago. Forgiveness was becoming more common. People were talking about love and brotherhood and forgiveness, but not oneness, no one even knew the word duality. And certainly no one was celebrating all of this. We are being given a time of bringing in the light to the light. We are given the opportunity right now, and that's part of what Namaste Village is. It's a joining together in presence, in joy, in the experience of there is life, true life, and it's right here, right now. There's a finding of the kingdom of heaven that's right here, right where we are, not in what we seem to look at, but in the reality within us, that we are, enough of us, maybe a million, whatever it takes, are touching. And the invitation now isn't to go to your conflict point, although that will still work if you want, but it's to come join in love. Only love, only love, only love. Only do that all day. Keep that song of only love in your mind, in your heart, in your words, and it will cross you into a threshold of happiness that doesn't come from anything external outside of you. It'll cross you over into an emerging and rising happiness that comes from inside. And it is contagious. It's what happens, Chris, with your dance. Chris puts on the music for the dance and the words that from all week into AI, and they come out as a song of love, one right after the other. So after an hour of hearing them, it literally elevates us into a state of freedom, a state of joy without opposite. We're being given that opportunity to find that and to live in it for ourselves. And if we're not consistent in it, so what? It's the willingness to be consistent and to help each other and to bring in this time where awakening happens through love and through joy. That's the gift that's being given us and that we give one another every day. And I see Penny in the hot seat. So, okay, Reverend Penny, I'll give it to you. And thank you for bringing Dear One in and everyone else, because this is what we're doing, conflict point or joy point. Everything will work when that's all we want. Thank you. Okay, Penny.
Thank you, Vicki. And I am keeping my clothes on. I thought I'd share. Yeah, we had a lot going on out there this morning, yeah? A lot moving around, a lot of thoughts. What really resonated was that conversation about the conflict point. We can have some of those in community. We have those in the world. We have those internally. And I liked that concept of given the grace of someone else's experience. I used to say to my kids, now listen, that is a really good example of a bad example. And now you do not have to do that or behave that way. And as we move down that road, I believe that we step closer to a deeper understanding of oneness because we are one. That mistake or that example has been set. We can learn from that. We can love in that. And pretty soon we will look at that bad example and say, thank you. Thank you for knowing that the divine in us is greater than that. And it seems at that point, our level of suffering will be lifted. And I know it's always a surprise when I say that I have an acronym. But I love that thought of let's dance. Let's dance. Discover, affirm, notice, create, evolve. Let's dance.
Oh, sweet. Thank you. Okay, I have an acronym as well. I looked it up. So I mentioned in the beginning, I forgot to go back to this, that I was thinking that I was going to entitle this, There Are Cults, and Then There Are Cults. Okay, what do I mean by that? I was watching a video on YouTube yesterday about a particular, very much, the typical definition or idea of a cult, control, locked in, and we could say that is definitely a negative experiential deep dive into what is not helpful in terms of a spiritual community. But the thing for us to remember is that anyone looking at even something like Namaste Village from the outside, because this is threatening, okay? In fact, the master teacher used to say, I am the supreme threat of eternal love. It's a great threat to one standing outside looking. So they're going to claim whatever it is they need to claim to believe that this is something negative. This is a cult. But what we're doing, the acronym I just looked up, is creative unity, love, and transformation. Let them call this what they want. That's all we're going to do is continue to radiate that. Creative or create unity. We could say creative unity as well. Love and transformation. That's what we're all about here. So let's be about it. Let's continue to, I won't do it again, but strip and let the sun, the light, the warmth, the heat of this transformation take us over completely. And to this, We say Amen, 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 y punto.